Hey guys, it's J.P.Fluellen with another episode of the Success Agent Podcast where we interview top real estate team leaders, thought leaders, brokers all over the country. And today we have got Spike, or Eric, if you will. And he's going to tell us a little bit about himself, where he's from, what kind of business he's running, what kind of numbers he did last year. And then we're going to dive into some financial nuggets of information on how you can either streamline your costs or not spend money on things that are too expensive, and just making sure that you're spending your money in the right areas of your business. So go ahead and tell us a little about yourself, and here we go.
Yeah, so my name's Spike. Well, all my friends call me Spike. Family members call me Eric. So we've been in business about 9 years. I say we, my wife and I and my daughter are in business together. We do about $30 million a year in sales. I always talk about, when I talk about money, I always talk about net. Sometimes in real estate, I think the perception of making money is more important than actually making money. So we average about $600,000 a year at 1099. That's what's most important. So I don't know if that's too much personal information, but we really, we need to have open conversations as entrepreneurs in this country about being profitable. We run a small team. My wife and I, we have two assistant agents, Jacob and my daughter Brooke, and we just recently brought on two part-time agents. But for the last year, we've been with the 4 or 5 of us. So
Nice. And so how many units does that equate to?
We will sell between 55 and 70 units a year. So our average sale is about $400,000 a year. We're in Frederick County, Maryland, which is a suburb of DC, and our average sale in our marketplace is about 350. We typically do about 400. We sell more higher end than most people. So.
Oh, nice. A little bit more yield for less work.
Yeah, I always talk to people that work in marketplace with the average sales $150,000, and I always think, wow, that's tough. Then I talk to my friends out in California, the average sales like over $1 million. I'm like, wow, that's great. So
Yeah,
you got to work with what marketplace you have.
yeah, and obviously, you get to pay for where you live too, so you get to,
That's right.
So break that down for us a little bit. So how did you determine going from, a single agent to then going to a team and then bringing on part-time agents? Because I know that at least with a lot of teams out there right now, they struggle with part-time agents because of the, if you're doing any kind of lead gen or value add, like how are you able to manage part-time agents with that?
Yeah, so they can be profitable for a team. So my background is franchising. I come from the franchise industry. I spent about 25 years putting people in business, telling them how to be successful in their own business and start troubleshooting their business. And one of the things and I used to travel a lot, so I decided I want to travel one day, and I got into real estate. That's how we got into the biz. But I decided very early on that a lot of real estate agents just don't have business training at all. They get great training of how to fill out forms, how to be legal, how not to discriminate, things like that. But very few brokerages have real life training on how to market your business, how to build your business, how to be profitable. Like I was in shock when I first got into real estate, and I said to the broker I was talking to, like, give me the template of what I need to do so I can plug my numbers in. And like, we don't have a template. I'm like, what do you do? Like, what's your value? Like, your value isn't just a cash by check. Like, you should have a whole plan for me. And they're like, well, you should go read this book. I'm like, well, no, like it was a miss. And then as I started to real estate agents, I realized that most real estate agents don't have a plan. They just, sell real estate. They talk about their gross commission income and how many units they sell. And, some of them are losing money. Some are making $100,000 a year, and some are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And probably 78% of them are behind their federal income tax. It just really puzzled me. So I read a book, Mike Michalowicz's book, Profit First, and it really, really talked to me. And that's kind of how one of the reasons it spoke to me was I lived my life that way, my personal life. And it's really one of the best books out there. I love Mike. I've been to, weekend retreat with him and things like that. And it's really, he's an amazing person. But with the team in particular, a lot of people build a team and they don't really understand the economics behind the team. And they don't really have a plan. They don't really have a forecast of how they're going to make money. And you'd be amazed at how many real estate teams just don't make money. I actually forget your question, JP, but but we really, so what we do with our money, I'll just kind of go into that real quick, is we use a profit first type system. So we pay as a business owner in this country about 45% income tax, right? But we have a lot of write-offs that we don't pay taxes on. So our blended tax bracket is about 13% of what we earn, we pay in taxes. So what we do is when income comes in, we immediately set aside 13% in account for taxes. Now we also have other things that we want to put money into, like our IRA. Our best write-off, in my opinion, is a SEP IRA. We put about 25% of our income in taxes. So what happens is we put 13% in the tax account. We put 25% in the IRA. We fund our HSA of $8,100 a year because we have a high deductible health insurance plan. And we have other accounts set up for other personal items. Like one of the things I want to buy right now is a Tesla Model Y. So we are setting up an account for that. We're going to put so many $1,000s a month into that account. And when that gets to the price we can pay for the Model Y, we'll buy it. Think about this, and I see this a lot in real estate. If you like, my tube of toothpaste on my counter right now is almost empty, right? And when I brushed my teeth last night, I think I spent about 2 minutes trying to get the toothpaste out of it to get enough on the toothbrush. Even though I got a new tube right below the counter, like you want to use that up, right? When you pull the new tube and you put the toothpaste on your toothbrush, right away a glob may fall off because you got all that toothpaste, right? It's like no big deal. And that's what it's like running your own business. If you have all your money in your account and you don't allocate it out of your account, you just feel like you have that full tube of toothpaste. And you try a CRM, you try this, you try that shiny nickel, and if it doesn't work, no big deal. I got more money in my account. So if you take the money right away and you start allocating it to profit, to taxes, to IRA, then you never have that feeling that you have a full tube of toothpaste. You always feel like you have that small tube of toothpaste. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned the book Profit First, because I've been doing Profit First for my business for about 5 years now, and so yeah, I've just been using. And it's funny, I haven't adjusted my percentages. I just use the stock percentages that he talks about in the book, and it's worked out perfect every month, perfectly. The 45, 35, 10, and 15. I've been using that since the beginning. I probably should adjust it because I'm sure that, I also have rental properties too. So I have tons and tons of write-offs.
Yeah.
So, you definitely, but it takes the brain power out of the process. So you just, and in that way, I don't have to spend so much time combing over every single detail. I just do it as a percentage and it just works out. Matter of fact, I just learned a method on how to do CMAs that way. I'll have to show it to you. It's amazing how it works, and it blows your mind. It basically takes a CMA and says, well, if you use the law of averages based off of a house in a particular neighborhood, and you take similar neighborhoods and you put it against that particular property, and you average them out, and there's also an appreciation scale that's already built into it. And when you do that math, it takes out, oh, well, this house is nicer than that one. Well, if you average it out, then that becomes a non-factor. So, it doesn't matter if it's got granite next to the one that has Formica. It doesn't matter if the one that has, hardwood floors versus tile, it averages it all out. So it creates basically like the ultimate number, of value for that particular property. And then there's a baseline value based on the last time it's sold, and it calculates in all the appreciation, and then it creates the ultimate number for what the house is actually worth. And then there's a high end, low end, mid range, and it creates the ultimate value of the house. So it's cool because it's you can do it in 15 minutes, and you don't have to comb over all the comps and do the 3 months and all the things, and you don't have to waste all that time. And I actually tested it yesterday against a couple of agents on my team that were going to have a couple listings coming up, and the numbers came out spot on, and they got the listings and everything, and so it was pretty cool. So
that is definitely going to be a phone call. That could be a whole podcast by itself.
Oh, dude, it's pretty cool. I I was like, wait, what? And they use a number of 50 different data points, and it just calculates out the number, and then boom, there's the, like if you could take a house and make it a prime number, like this is the like the Optimus prime number for that house, then it creates that number. So it's interesting. If you like numbers, man, you're gonna be like, no, this can't work, no way. And I did it, and I ran it up against a couple houses that I had sold, and it works spot on. I mean, it's good.
Real estate is a great business, and so I've spent my whole life in franchising, right? So I've, sold thousands of businesses. So, why would I go into real estate? It's the most profitable business I've ever seen. Like it's an amazing industry, which without, incredible investment, you could build a great business. And when you're talking about a tool like you're talking about, it's just that can make somebody's life so much easier. Maybe even save them having to hire an employee.
Right.
Um,
Right.
which is really the key, right? Because employees are expensive and they're tough to manage, and yeah, it's just really different. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely. I mean, that's the key to it all. And I've heard a lot of, I talked to. Well, I didn't. I went to that seminar that EXP had put on for teams and why big teams and brokerages are coming over, and it's because they can skim out all of that overhead.
Correct.
And this one guy was talking about how, he hasn't been consistently profitable for 20 years. And he was saying, he's like, some years I'd make 150 and some years I'd lose 50. And some years I'd make 300 and some years I'd lose, and it didn't matter what the market was doing. The market could be hot, but because of whatever because he's got that, he's holding the whole business model in his hand, that, if one thing goes wrong for whatever reason, he's got to bear the brunt of that cost. And so that was the reason why he's just like, it just streamlined all the processes. He's getting rid of all of his brick and mortar. He's going to completely online and utilizing the tools that we've all been accustomed to now that we're kind of in this COVID environment right now where people are starting to learn and understand how to utilize virtuality in this whole process.
And that's EXP has been amazing for us. Like it's hard to explain. I mean, it is plus every year at least $100,000 for us in net income. And this is not necessarily about EXP, but it's the tools, the process, the combination of their fees. The stock has been amazing. Like it's such a good thing for us that it's hard for me. I'm not a great attraction person for EXP because I just talk about the stock and the profit. And most realtors don't really understand what stock is and they don't really get into it, but it's absolutely amazing. So yeah, I always look at a team as if you took a chain link, like a steel chain, and you put it on the ground and you just kind of collapsed all the links, it would push forward theoretically, right? That's like running a team, but as soon as you get it skew a little, it just folds up, and that's what a lot of large teams are. Unless you're really a superior business person, you'd be amazed. And I've sort of been behind the curve with a lot of large teams early on, and I was horrified by the lack of profit and the lack of income to the team leader and how far they're behind their taxes because of it and behind their mortgage and things like that. And that's why we started with real estate. We're just like, what is it going to be profitable? Like we have standards. We were not going to do anything that's not profitable. We save about 50% of our income, and we have for the last 7 years. And it's really liberating when you get that money saved. Like you can do anything you want now. Like we don't really need to sell real estate, but we love doing it, and we're great at it. We really enjoy it, but it is it's all about profit. There's no reason to be in business and not be profitable. This is not a business that you can really build to sell down the road, or you can really build that I'm investing back into my business because it'll be more profitable down the road. Like if you're not making money, you need to figure out why you're not making money. Like,
Right.
you can do it without making money.
Well, and I think the ultimate goal is, and I think, this will resonate with anybody that's listening, is that when you're building a team, the ultimate goal is that you want to be able to exit the business and have your team run itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we lose sight of that because I think as team leaders, we were the go-getters, the ones that the thrill of the deal, if you will. You get a closing, you get all excited, and you're like, let's do another one, and that's kind of addicting, if you will, and I think that we need to start focusing on being addicted to the training and the coaching and the inspiring others to be as successful as we were, and coming up with ways and structures to inspire our agents to, start their own teams and start their own processes and learning and basically franchising yourself, if you know. and creating something bigger. I had this vision of creating Titan teams all over the nation, and so I'm like, I don't think anyone has really successfully done that, and I think from an attraction standpoint, I think it's very attracting to be like, hey, do you want to start a Titan team in your area? And they're like, because I've had agents that have left my team and moved to other states, and they're like, oh, I just love to get this going over here. And so my thought is like, how do I put that together in order to continue to be, and yet still stay profitable? Because that's the key to all of it is, how do you build the structure, the splits, all that stuff to where, because my biggest thing when I started a team was I didn't like this idea that someone would tell me that, well, oh, you're going into real estate? Oh, well, you're not going to make any money for the first 3 to 5 years. And I was like, whoa, why am I doing this then?
Makes no sense.
Because if that's the case, then what did I just, who lied to me before I got my license, So I definitely have to figure out what I got to do to change that idea. And that was the whole purpose of a team, was join my team, do a deal within the first 60 to 90 days. And then we'll just continue to add and continue the snowball process to build a business.
I think so. Also, like, your job is to find somebody in your team that can replace you, right? So your job is to identify that person, train that person, prepare them for that opportunity. And their job is to do the same thing for them. Like, they got to find somebody to train them and bring them up forward too. So we have that person on our team, but we've been working with him for probably 5 years now. And I have 2 people in my team that I could leave the country, just hand on my cell phone and go. And I did it in October. We went to Ireland and we just gave somebody on our team our cell phone and hit the road. And that's really the goal, I think, is to be able to do stuff like that. Because then you can take time off and get away from the business. And you may decide you want to exit the business and get profit from it, or you want to maybe just step away a little bit and be involved in the periphery. It depends on your personality, right? I'm not a golfer, so I don't really know what I would do in retirement. I'm excited about the hunt. There are hunters and farmers in this world, and I'm definitely a hunter. So
yeah. So you gave somebody your cell phone, like your personal cell phone? Here's my personal cell phone. I'm leaving the country. Bye.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
That's awesome. Then I could just get a burner phone when I'm overseas, and just have like a generic phone just for emergency purposes only, and then that's it.
We had my wife's phone for that purpose. So yeah, it was,
there you go.
Because it's really, until you can do that, like, that is like the test. Are you a good manager? Are you a good trainer of people? Like, if you can't do that. So Mike Michalowicz wrote another book called Clockworks, and the concept is, if your business is running like clockwork, then you could make $50 an hour while sitting on the beach versus $200 an hour while being in the office. And we had that concept in mind. Now, I will say COVID did throw a little wrench into the appointment on that whole thing, because we're flying because we were building it, and when COVID hit, we honestly didn't know if we would have revenue, in 2 months. Like, there was a point where you're like, are they going to shut this thing down for a month or two and it'll be zero? Like, we really, really looked at it. It was a good exercise for us too, because we immediately sat down over a 2-day period, went through every expense we've had in the last 6 months. What we cut, what we need to increase. Like, we put a whole plan together and we executed over 2 days. And COVID turned out for us in our area of the country to be, from a real estate business standpoint, we took off. Like, it went great. It's going great. But we expected almost zero revenue.
Yeah, it actually was, it didn't affect us whatsoever. I think it probably made people even more motivated, because they're like, you're not telling me that I got to stay home. We're going to buy a house,
Yeah, but you guys are, your area of the country, right? Our area was a little more compliant, but our county normally has 1,200 homes for sale. Now we have less than 400. So there's like supply and demand. It's just made it great to be in the real estate business as a listing agent. So.
Yeah. Well, and when I first got in the business, I had one of my old brokers tell me, he's like, you got to list to last in this business. And I didn't believe him. I was like, whatever. I got buyers coming out of my ears. I haven't listed a house in 3 years. I don't know what you're talking about. But then when you get into situations like this, where if you don't have a product to sell, and you've got too many buyers, you're stuck. Like, you don't make money. And I didn't believe that because I always felt like, as long as I've got somebody that's pre-qualified, I could always just go out there and get them a house. Well, if you have, it's like winning the lottery when you have too many buyers making offers on the same houses. Like you're going to put your buyers in situations that they probably don't want to be in order to buy a house. Or you just continue to write offers, and that's all you're spending all of your time writing offers, and you're not making any money. And so that's kind of where I was like, oh yeah, okay, this whole listing thing does make sense now, because you got to have a product to sell in order for people to buy it.
It's nice to have a blend too, right? It's nice to know to be working with some buyers and have a lot of listings. Like I find that to be my sweet spot. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really weird right now. So think about it, right? Like you're advising a buyer to go list price or above list price, and you're really justified because they're getting such a good mortgage payment on the other end with the low interest rate. Like it's better to get it cheaper down the road when interest rates go up, or is it better to buy it now at a little higher price with lower interest rate? And that's really an interesting conversation with somebody.
Well, and it makes me wonder if, assumptions will come back, because if you still have to continue to buy at a higher price, then the interest rate when it was, under 3% is much more appealing than even, if the prices start to stabilize and you're buying a house at 6% interest, and so it makes me wonder if there's going to be that new market. Well, it's not new, but I don't think a lot of people have taken advantage of assumptions, and
Yeah, correct.
so
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if people like, well, I just need out and I just need my mortgage covered and $5,000 to move. Okay, let's do this, so it'll be interesting to see if that causes any of these kind of unregistered sales, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the things I want to talk about was profit and loss statement.
Yeah.
I would say 95 to 99% of real estate just don't have a profit and loss statement. So I had gotten into coaching a few years ago because really just telling people how to be successful in their business is my background. And I decided coaching wasn't for me completely. So we do coach some agents. We don't charge them, but we do coach a few agents. And it's amazing to me how people think they have a profit and loss statement because they have some sort of a little Excel spreadsheet or something like that, and they don't really know. My story, and I'll just give it to you, is we had our first really big year of real estate where we were just closing deals and making money and had money in the account and bought a new car, and it was just like holy cow, making 3 times what I was making before my previous career. And we were flying through it, and I estimated taxes, and my broker wasn't automated, and I didn't even know how much money I was making because they weren't automated. Like I had to ask them to submit a form to tell me what my income was so far. And then at the end of the year, I thought I'd owe about $30,000 in taxes. And because I had some crazy spreadsheet and wasn't organized, I owed $135,000 in taxes. I pushed myself to the last day of the extension. So my accountant was like, I need $135,000 today. And I was like, I had to pit my stomach, like, this will never, ever happen again. So I immediately got, QuickBooks Online, went to strictly a business credit card and a business checking account. So they download automatic QuickBooks Online. So my P&L is done. We have a payroll service. So my wife and I both take salary, so some withholding. And then I just got to look at my profit on the bottom of the profit and loss statement and think, well, if I have $80,000 of profit after payroll, then if I have $50,000 of write-offs, I really have $30,000 of profit. I just need to pay the income tax at the end of the year. And that's made a huge difference for us because it's really, definitely if I give anybody advice, whether you're a team or not a team, you have a profit and loss statement. $25 a month at Quicken Online, QuickBooks Online, and it's the best $25 we spend.
Yeah, I got to the point where I hate numbers because I don't want to be accountable to them.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. Numbers not fun.
Oh man,
deals are fun.
I mean, it's like worse than having having to have surgery or something. It's to me, it's just like this reoccurring process where you're like, nah, dude, you need to look at your numbers, and I'm just like, oh, it stresses me out because I'm like, oh, that's the real picture. Or somebody says, if you know somebody's personality, you should know the personality of your business. The numbers will tell you whether you have an angry business or you have a sad business or you have a happy business, it'll give you the characteristics of your business. And if you want your business to be your best friend, you really need to know your numbers. And, and so for me, it's like, it's hard for me to get really like intimate with my numbers, and so that's why I like the percentage process, because I know the percentages. And it's like a game for me. I want to make sure that the percentages are always, moving, and, but I couldn't do the QuickBooks thing. We run 3 businesses. My wife's got a coaching business, and then we have rentals, and then we have my business. And so we had to hire an accountant. She does our P&Ls for us every month.
Okay.
And so, we're able to take a look at those numbers and say, okay, well, we don't have that, level of spending this month to do this event or whatever. And we'll just have to carry that over and do a bigger event next month. So it's good because, and then we also, for a while there, we were doing a flat structure with our team. So it was just easier for numbers wise, less tracking, this lead, that lead, where's this lead coming from? Everything's a different percentage. And I follow a guy by the name of Jeff Cohn. He's with a different brokerage, but he's been doing this team concept, and he's really like passionate about teams. And so I kind of wanted to follow that model through with my podcast, because I think there's a huge need for doing teams and doing it well and giving good information out there that people can act on. And I talk about that Mike McAllowitz book all the time, like Profit First, guys. You got to, even if you don't know anything about accounting, like you can do this.
Yeah.
And and if you just follow it, you can, you adjust the percentages as you go along. It works without fail every single time.
Yeah, you never have that euphoric feeling. Like, I have a really good friend of mine who sells real estate, and he makes, I don't know, a lot of money selling real estate, probably 40% more than we do. And he saves 50% of his money in his tax account, which is what a lot of realtors do. Like, I save 50%, but it's so overfunded that they take the money out and buy a car or do things with it. Then at the end of the day, they don't have the money. So you got to have a serious approach to it. Because if you overfund it and it's overfunded, then what's really the difference? Right? You'll use that for something else. Your wife wants a Mercedes SUV, you buy it, and next you don't have that money anymore. So
right, yeah, that defeats the purpose of having those accounts for a specific purpose, because it's I kind of liken it to a 21st century today's version of like the Dave Ramsey envelope system.
Yeah.
But it gives you some, each envelope has a actual real value attached to it. And then, and that's the problem is, I think sometimes we get too conservative or go the other direction, where it's like, oh, well, we need to continue to overfund our payroll account just in case we don't have money coming in. And it's like, well, if you have a predictable business, which I think ultimately everybody in real estate wants to get to, where it's a predictable, systematic business that you can, and what scares me a little bit is running it all the way down to like the last little bit, because that's what Mike wants you to do. He's like, no, the percentage should be dialed into the number. That way it's all the way down. And I'm like, oh, it just gives me like a heart attack sometimes,
If you'd have a payroll.
So I'm like, I don't know if I can run my payroll account down to 0. I just couldn't do it.
It's not as predictable. Payroll is becoming less important in real estate. It's still important, but it's becoming less important because we have so much technology now that can eliminate employees. That sounds horrible to say that. Like, I would not be a good politician for saying that, but
right.
But it's, we don't need as many people. Like the idea of having an assistant when you get to a certain level. When the book was written, you have high-speed internet in your pocket right now, so you could do more at a traffic light, or in the bathroom, than you could before, at the office almost. So I would say that the employees are less important to us anyway, the way we run things. So.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that.
I'm also not a great manager of people, so my wife and I are both, a little intense. So if you work for us, you got to perform at a pretty high level, and we don't take substandard people and manage them well. So.
Yeah, we kind of got that with our business too. We we just got to a point where, it's like we started upping our standards, requirements of things that we need. I started having to have a little more difficult conversations with agents. Just, it's like, this is a job just like everything else. You are a 1099 employee. I totally get that. And but I have a team, and my team is different than a brokerage. A brokerage will allow you to be loosey goosey with your time and not, calling back on stuff. But I run a team. My team is a team for a reason. We all work together to get to the common goal. That's why it's a team, and we stepped up some of the things we're doing. Some of my agents that were, not really seeing results are now starting to see results because you got to give structure to your day. You got a time block, all these fundamentals. And if you just implement it, trust the process. You're going to get results if you just trust the process. So I don't know if you run into those issues with your folks, but.
So we have a process, which is a big key, right? Like a process. Most people don't have it. So what we've always done is we sort of have our list of top 10 responsibilities. Everybody has it. So, in order of importance, so this is my number one responsibility, my number two, my number three. And then we review it, like, how are you doing? And responsibilities 1 through 5. Maybe 10 doesn't get done great, but 1 through 5 has to get done. We have it for ourselves too. The great thing about being your own business is you get paid what you worth, right? The horrible thing about being your own business is you get paid what you worth, right? So even the business owner should have that list of responsibilities. And if you're not doing, 1 through 10 in a good fashion, then maybe you shouldn't be there either, right? So that list of 10 responsibilities in order of importance is always something I find my business on.
Yeah, my wife and I, we do a high performance planner every day. I don't know if you've heard of Brendan Bouchard at all.
I have, yeah.
So my wife's a certified high performance coach with him, and he's got this high performance planner, and it goes through like, what are you going to do for yourself and what are you going to do for others today? And then it has like, what are your priorities today and what are your have to get dones today?
Mm-hmm.
And, I think a lot of times, we think that just because it's priority that it has to get done. It's like, no, it can be a priority, but you don't have to like try to figure out how you're going to add another 2 hours to your day to get those things done. Just know that it's something that has to get done, that it's priority, whatever that is, and then, it's funny because it's still a planner, and I still have like my schedule in my phone, but yet I still have to like rewrite it out on the planner so that because there's something about the physicality of writing out your day that triggers other things that you're like, oh shoot, I forgot to put that down and that and the other thing down. So I think it's huge just to, and the whole thing is about high performance and like being able to, perform at a high level, regardless of the stressors that are going on in your life, regardless of these crazy things you got to do. There's still ways to perform at a high level, which I think is really just how to do the things you need to get done without having the stress dictate the way that it's the outcome.
Yeah, putting out fires or even the distraction and forgetting about things. It's if you're organized like you are, it's like if you're walking across a field, you just walking straight across, and because you're organized, you're just moving ahead, right? And somebody that's not organized is almost like a puppy going across that field, darting left, darting right, going back, going forward. They still get to the end of the field, but it's a lot more stress, a lot more territory. But somebody like yourself is organized, just move straight ahead and it's successful. So.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, this has been fun. Is there any other parting words you'd like to give to our audience? Any like little nuggets, like some aha moments that you've gotten over the years that somebody could really use to take away from today?
Yeah, I would say this is such a great business. It is so profitable. It's such a great industry. Just maximize all your write-offs at the end of the day. Like it's not what you sell. It's not what you put into the machine. It's what you take out at the end of the day that counts. And totally judge yourself by that. And if you're not making money, figure it out. Not everybody belongs in their own business, but it's great to be in your own business and be successful. It's absolutely amazing. But make sure you're taking that money out at the end of the day. Otherwise, maybe you should hire somebody else or do something different. So.
Awesome. Well, Spike, I appreciate your time today. If there's any way someone could repay you, send you a note, send you a referral? What's the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'll just give you my cell phone number. It's 240-818-5744. And, just text me, give me a call. Always available to help. One of the greatest things about being with our brokerage at VXP is we've received so much help from people over the last probably 4 years. It's made just a tremendous impact on our business that we are totally there to help anybody else. Don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me a text.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's another episode of the Success Agent Podcast. We appreciate you guys hanging in there with us, and we'll catch you guys all on the next episode.